time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Indeed, and great to have you with us on this Thursday edition of the show. We got a lot to do over the next 60 minutes. Some NFL to talk about. Whole bunch more. But we start things out on a Thursday edition of Sports Wrap because if it's a Thursday, it means this guy is hanging out with us, clad in his Toronto Blue Jays garb. It's David Aardsma, the former big league reliever and closer, hangs out with us every Thursday on the program. How do you explain yourself coming onto this show wearing a Toronto Blue Jays jersey? I'm just curious.
I'm eating krill. I'm owning it. I have been a Yankee bandwagon apparently the whole season. I mean, the way they're playing baseball, I have to represent it and say, you know what? Yeah, I haven't been like, it's not going against them all year. It's just, I didn't think they've been that much different. I don't think this team coming into the season was a different team than they've been in the past. And then all of a sudden they're just playing baseball the way they should have been the last 2 years, and they're playing great baseball. And I'm owning it. Today is me owning that the Blue Jays are the best team in the East.
Oh,
well, and they just put up 45 runs in a single series. That's ridiculous.
It's the Rockies.
I don't care if they were playing the Hartford Yard Goats, Jason Page. 45 runs in a 3-game series is impressive for any offense.
I'm sorry.
Any offense, anywhere, it doesn't matter. They're playing baseball, and that's the thing they had been lacking is an explosive offense, and that's what they're absolutely doing.
I apologize to our audience. I literally, while on camera, just took a spoonful of this yogurt that was and this is not a paid advertisement or anything. They don't sponsor the show, but it was just too good. I couldn't resist. Lost all self-control for a moment there. Let me ask you about this because we haven't talked to you since the trade deadline, at least on the show. Yankees go out and get all these relievers, and we all just automatically think, at least this guy did, that this is it. They're going to turn it into a 5-inning game. It's going to be a 6-inning game at most. It's going to be like the late 90s Yankees. Wonderful. And then you see the actual finished product, or maybe it's not the finished product. How long does it take when you get thrust into a situation like this, when you move out of Pittsburgh, if you're David Bednar, where you're playing games that are meaningless for 2 years, and then you're thrust into New York. You're Jake Bird with the Rockies, who hasn't played a meaningful game in his entire career, and now you're on the Yankees. Give me some sense as a reliever what that is like.
It should be day one. The first day you walk in the clubhouse, it's weird, it's awkward, but it's not the first clubhouse you've walked into. It's not the first new team you've been on. These guys have all been drafted. They've all moved through systems, so it's a new team. It feels a little awkward, but especially as relievers, day one. You are hitting that ground running. Offense, I totally get it. If you're a third baseman, you're Suarez, and you're now in not necessarily new place, but you're on a new team in a new playoff run, playoff push. You got to find your spot in the lineup a little bit. Relievers, man, that's our job. It doesn't matter. You are the lowest of the low when you get traded, and you're on a new
catcher.
Team.
It's a new community. It's got to be I mean, you've done it. Maybe I'm
Stuff
wrong.
Like that does absolutely matter, and it plays into it, and it plays into the bigger picture. But your job is to dominate day one. Your job is to walk in there and get 3 outs. That's not the hardest job in the world, and you're really good. You dominate, and if they had done that, the Yankees wouldn't be on this run that they're on.
I'm glad Aardsma's not my boss, man. He is a tough boss. There is
relievers. I've got no love for relievers because as a reliever, as somebody that's done this, you come in, you're supposed to set a tone, and you set that tone quick. And Miller did, without a doubt, and some other of these guys have. You're looking down and Philly, and that's looked out pretty good so far. And then you go to New York and you say, what is happening here? Why is this across the board happening with these relievers in New York? It's not just one guy.
Sam, I got to throw in one more thing here. Is it New York? Can we just acknowledge for a moment that maybe it's just New York? Because we see way too many guys who are really good other places come here and suck it up. Gavin Williams, I'm talking about you. I mean, we do, David. And maybe there's just a reality that when you put on those pinstripes and you pitch in the Bronx, there's such a stigma that comes along with the success that is expected. Maybe there's something to it. Maybe it's not crazy. Because we've seen it happen with a lot of guys.
Seen it happen. I mean, it's gone over and over again. I think these are the guys. I mean, I thought for sure Duvall, when you're talking about Williams signing in the offseason, and Bednar, I thought these were the moves. I thought these are the guys. I still think they are. It's still going to, I think it's going to play out in their favor. But man, there is something different when you walk in and you can't dominate right out of the gate. The whole team kind of looks at you and goes like,
"Uh-oh."
Like, this is, come on, like, we believe in you. We know you. We faced you. The best thing that ever happens is if you face these guys and you know Bednar's really filthy and nasty. Yeah. Like, all right, like, Duvall throw, like, all right, Camilo, like, we'll give you a little run here because we've actually had to stand in that box. But Yankee Stadium, I think, plays a lot more into it too. When you're playing in some of these bigger ballparks, you come from San Francisco and you can basically throw the ball underhand over at night and say good luck, or even anytime in right field, try to hit this ball out. And you come to Yankee Stadium and then pop up that you're walking into the dugout and ends up being 5 rows deep. That does change your mindset a little bit.
Sam, I shortchanged you, but go.
David, we got a minute. We talked last time you were on the show about Ohtani, and things have gotten better for him, but not necessarily for the Dodgers. He's finally stretched out, looked dominant against the Cardinals through 4 innings, collected his 1,000th hit, but the Dodgers are struggling. What do you make of Ohtani, and what do you make of the Dodgers in the final minute we have?
I got to give credit to Ohtani. I was bagging on him. I don't like the idea of a cramp in your hip area. None of that even sounds good to me, that as a pitcher, and then you leave him in as a hitter. That doesn't process right. If you really cared about him as a pitcher, you sit him. You sit him as a hitter. Like, if that just doesn't sit right to me. That didn't add up to how you save your best player and the best player in the game in any sort of manner. But it's Ohtani. It seems to absolutely work out for him. Why wouldn't it? And he's on a run too, as far as a hitter, killing it. That 1,000 hits, amazing. He had an incredible outing. Again, we've talked about this before. There are little runs on teams that you just struggle for just a little bit, and you struggle. And if there's anybody in Major League Baseball that I believe, it's the Dodgers, and they can put it back together without a doubt.
We got more to talk about with David Aardsma, the former big league reliever, hangs out with us every Thursday on SportsWrap. I got the Yankees out of my system. I've purged it. Bednar was rock solid yesterday, though, man. That 40-pitch effort. Good stuff. We're coming back. All right, welcome back to the show. We're hanging out with David Aardsma, former big league reliever, closer. Knows a thing or two about baseball. He's paying homage to our Toronto audience watching on Games Plus. Fubo,
so much Blue Jays
all
stuff.
that.
So
wearing
much
his Blue Jays gear.
One
other thing to be said about that Yankee game yesterday, and it's more from the Rangers side. You saw Bruce Bochy yesterday managing that game like a playoff game because it was a tiebreaker. If whoever won that game was going to own the tiebreaker for the wild card. So if both teams finished tied third for the wild card, this could have been the difference between who gets into the playoffs and who doesn't. And you saw something very unusual yesterday with Jack Leiter getting pulled from this game with only like 60-something pitches thrown in the 4th inning after he pitched great the first 3 innings. And Bruce Bochy wasn't wasting any time. And it wound up being a great move going to the bullpen because the reliever came in and was able to mitigate the damage the Yankees had caused in the 4th. But it was interesting to see sort of, a guy managing this like it was a playoff game, David.
No, and it should be. And these are the type of games that matter to these teams. I know there's a lot of baseball to be played, but that's what makes Bruce Bochy one of the best managers of all time, going to be a Hall of Fame manager, is recognizing the importance and showing that to the team. I guarantee you there's probably a conversation to the team before this series, but letting them know like this series matters.
You think so? I was going to ask that.
It's just not a series in August. Like I guarantee you, something was said where there's a different feeling, and the word kind of spreads that there's something out there, or maybe even this last game, or just kind of the word gets to the bullpen, word gets to the pitchers. That's just what it is, because you do have to be able to answer for that. If you're Jack Leiter, and you might not speak it. If you're Jack Leiter, you're still too young, but the other starters might say something to you, say, hey, 3 1/3, like what's up with this? But when he's managing like this, it also sends shot across the bow. Like these games are starting to matter more, and we can't just get through August and be happy with it, even if we're above 500. That we need to win more baseball games. And I believe in you that we're going to be a playoff team. That's the coolest thing too. Sometimes it's just your manager saying we're going to be a playoff team, and I'm treating you like a playoff team.
David, elsewhere in New York, I know we spent a bunch of time talking about the Yankees, but yesterday Gavin Williams took a no-hitter into the 9th inning against the New York Mets, a team that has been struggling lately. Like maybe to me, and it's probably because of the Yankees, maybe the most underrated story in Major League Baseball right now is the fall off of the Mets. They lost first place in the division. They're clinging to the last wild card spot in the National League. What's your concern level like for the baseball team in New York, in Queens?
Same kind of thing. A team that goes out there and gets all the relievers, and then all of a sudden they're struggling. This is a New York problem there, Jason. This is without a doubt a New York problem.
Thanks.
Levels of concern, again, low. I'm not somebody that gets concerned about really good baseball teams. I don't get concerned in July and August about great baseball teams. I get concerned in September. That is a different beast in September. Like you better be winning those baseball games in September, and you don't get to just roll through some of these games. But it's also not like they're getting beat by nobodies and somebody going out there throwing a no-hitter. The Guardians they're not a great baseball team by any means, but they've also been on a really good run. It's not like the Guardians have been on a great run right before this too. So it's not like they're getting beat by a team that looks horrible, playing horrible baseball. They've been playing great baseball too. So I'm not too worried about it. But again, you want these little streaks to happen. I like when little runs like this happen. You just can't let it come into September. I actually like it right before September, and then you hit September running, and you have a hot September, and you're going into the playoffs on that upswing, and not just limping in the playoffs, not just getting into the playoffs, but I want to see you hot and face some adversity, like almost get no hit. That'll wake that clubhouse up, especially Soto coming out and maybe getting it done. So you don't get no hit, but you almost get no hit. So it gives you a little fuel in the locker room, and then kind of wake them up a little bit, guys. Like, we can't just run it. We're not just going to get in here. And I guarantee you, Philly ain't going anywhere. And Milwaukee's getting better. And so there's some other things out there that will wake them up a little bit. And I like it a little bit.
Sam, double up. Go ahead.
So the big news off the field yesterday, David, was the 8-year, $130 million contract the Red Sox gave Roman Anthony, buying out all of his ARB years, which is something we've seen much more frequently in baseball today. A bunch with the Braves like 5 or so years ago, and more frequently since then. What do you make of clubs around baseball buying out all these years they have of player control to try and get more player control on the back end?
I can tell you this: the Players Association probably isn't too happy. The Major League Baseball Players Association probably isn't celebrating this contract by any means. It's not that they don't like contracts for players that are coming up and they came up in June,
right?
So they don't necessarily hate it, but they're not really enjoying this because they're buying out the biggest earning years of their career. They're buying out the money that changes contracts for the next generation. This is a great contract. I love that Roman Anthony. I love that Breslow's doing this. The Red Sox across the board. This should be what teams do to all their young superstars. Get them early with really good amounts of money. Paul Skeens, the fact that he pitched in the big leagues without a major league contract is still mind-blowing. Mizorowski, another one of those guys. When you just watch them pitch in the minors, sign them to a long-term deal. Figure that out. And so I like that they're doing this. It's just buying out those ARB years, buying out those really high earning years. You better come up with a really good number. You better have those numbers that say, if I'm not just the superstar of superstars, I better be earning some money. And you know what? He is. I mean, it's a $30 million club option, $29 million, $25 million towards the end of this contract, if he hits some of those spots. So they're getting good money out of it. I mean, the moment he goes to ARB, it's a $15, $19, $23 million contract. So they're getting up there. It's just, I guarantee you, the Players Association probably sat back and went, oh, another one. Like, come on.
Huh. That's very interesting.
Contracts are $400, $500 million now. So
right.
Sometimes someone in the office is going, come on, stop it.
Well, and you're seeing the opposite of it play out in Atlanta, right? The Braves are now a last place team on the back end of that Albies deal where they bought out all of his RBers and everyone thought, oh my gosh, Alex Anthopoulos is this genius. It's a great point by you, but interesting perspective about the players union. I had not thought of that.
And I'll also say this. As much as we're going to say it's a team-friendly deal, and there's a lot of risk associated with all that guaranteed money on a guy who's done it for. And again, even just thinking of Wander Franco. Somebody flames out, somebody does something stupid, and it's a lot of money. I mean, Rays were able to get out from under the Franco deal as well. We're coming back. All right, one last segment with David Aardsma, who's so gracious to offer. Did I say gracious? Gracious. To bless us with his presence on this edition of the show. I'm all discombobulated today. I'm eating yogurt during the show.
Your third place Yankees, that's the problem.
Hey, but David, it's all right there in front of us, man. It's all right there in front of us. And that's what Aaron Boone says every single night. It's right there in front of us. I'll tell you this, he pushed the right button yesterday. He put Goldschmidt in as a pinch hitter, and he hit the game-winning home run. I'll tell you another thing about – damn you for just getting me going on the Yankees again. I'll tell you one other thing. They are the best team in the league at not tacking on runs. They're the best at not tacking on runs. That team –
not just stepping on throats and finishing baseball games.
First and third, one out. First and third, one out. They get a run in, tie the game, or take the lead by one run. They can never get the extra run. Never.
I will say that they do not step on throats. They're not finishing these games, and they're putting those relievers we were talking about earlier in those tough spots. Like, that's always a close game with the Yankees. It feels like it's always a close game unless they're getting beat by a bunch.
By the way, the team I'd like to see get in, and I don't know if they will, because the gauntlet in the National League right now, when you look at the three wild card teams, the Cubs, Padres, and Mets.
Come on, say it.
Cincinnati.
Oh.
Cincinnati's the team I want to see get in. That fan base is hungry. I want to see Ellie De La Cruz in the postseason. I know you're not going to get to see Chase Burns in the postseason because they're going to shut him down because of innings and have him pitch out of the bullpen. I know you want to say the Marlins. I know you want to say the Marlins, but they're five out. They're five out in the wild card.
The Miami Marlins.
It's amazing.
I love it.
Look,
can America name any 25 players on that roster? We can name one. Can we name 25 others?
Sandy, that's a girl's name. So anyway, I want to see Cincinnati get in. And if they don't get in by one game, they should sue Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred for that atrocity. For that atrocity that was having that game begin. They lose Chase Burns and they wind up losing the game. That was an atrocity.
Yes, I will give you that. That there was not a whole lot about that entire game.
Atrocity, Sam.
To the fan experience, that nailed it. I don't know how many more of these are going to do, or hopefully they learn from that and get it better. But though that it did not play out well for anybody.
No, go ahead, Sam.
They can throw a number to talk about the 85,000 people or whatever the number ended up being. By the way, I was at the game with 115,000, but whatever. We won't count that because it was a day before the season. But
where was that game?
That was at the LA Coliseum.
Oh, you did the LA Coliseum game. Okay.
Yes. I was there. I was a little dot in the picture.
I want to talk to you about something that I don't think we have ever talked about on the show before, which is a rarity because I talk about everything with you when it comes to pitching and rule changes in Major League Baseball. But we had a weird instance on Wednesday. Maybe you didn't even see it with the world's Major League Baseball's fastest man, Chandler Simpson, moving around on the base paths, causing Tyler Anderson to pick off a third time. Luckily, it was successful, but had it not been, obviously it would have been a balk against Anderson for a third disengagement. I wanted to know, as a former reliever, somebody who had to deal with people running crazy on the base paths all the time, what do you think of limiting pickoff throws, especially in a day and age where Major League Baseball clubs are valuing speed more than maybe they ever have before?
And Major League Baseball valuing speed and giving them the opportunity to steal. I mean, the larger bases. That
sure,
pickoff. They are. There's a reason why Major League Baseball teams are valuing speed is because Major League Baseball said, "Hey, value speed," and here's some changes in rules. It's also value two-way players, so Ohtani can hit even after pitching. So they're figuring out ways to make sure to make the game a little bit more exciting. Chandler Simpson is exciting. That is, like, you want to make baseball fun? Have a bunch of guys as fast as humanly possible stealing everything. That's why we talk about like Ellie De La Cruz and O'Neal Cruz and all these guys that get on base. Like Corbin Carroll isn't that exciting until he gets on base. You're like, oh my God, this is crazy fun. And this is great for baseball. I'm okay with it. I don't like the rule. I don't have to like the rule, but I everything in my system of like every baseball game I've ever watched until a couple years ago, it just bothers. At the same time, we as baseball players, especially relievers, ruin the game. We made it so slow and picking off. I mean, picking off 10 times, all these things.
What was your max?
The game.
What was the most amount of times that you threw over in one at bat?
He's never going to remember this.
I was never a guy that worried that much about a runner. If I was worried that much that I couldn't get three guys out before he got to
Were you one of these relievers that's slow to the plate?
No, I was 1-3-3 every single time on the dime.
Yeah,
if I can't get to home plate and he can't throw him out a 1-3-3, that's go to second base. Like I will. I could strike out guys when strikeouts weren't as prevalent as they were. So like I believed that I can do it. I would almost rather have you at second base. I can see you. I know where you're at. You're going to cause less havoc with me seeing you, and I can focus a little bit more on the hitter. So I don't mind it. Again, what's crazy is that some of these leads are getting that jump lead, jumping out there.
Volpe does
and
it.
They're 20 feet off the bag. Like, how do we not know these certain guys are doing it and change your timing? One of the game's biggest things we did as pitchers was change timing, change looks, change this, change that. It seems like everybody's in this weird rhythm, and they're allowing these guys to jump off. You're giving picked yet, and so that's some of these leads that he gets. I'm like, how are we not just throwing over? He's right there, and I guess he's so fast he can get to second base even if you pick.
In the last 45 seconds here, the Astros getting back Yordan Alvarez is going to be enormous for this team that sits just 2 games in front of the Mariners in the American League West. Do they hold off the Mariners?
If Yordan Alvarez is anything like he was before, like in last year, again, he hadn't been even an addition to the team. He hadn't really been playing like Yordan Alvarez, even when he was healthy. He's got to swing like the MVP dude he is. You know, the most underrated player in baseball. Stamp it. The most underrated player in baseball by far. This dude is a superstar that half of people don't even recognize, don't even know he plays baseball. If he plays like that, this is a scary Astros team, and they're a team that just like every single year that you don't want to face them. So yes, if he's playing like that, and if some of the players with the Mariners aren't swinging the bat like they should be when they just got traded, then we're gonna see the Astros hold them off.
David Aardsma, former big league reliever, our closer. We close it out with you here in segment 3. Thank you, my friend. Welcome back to the show. Continuing on this Thursday, coming up in 10 minutes, the Aaron Rodgers preseason Game 1 dilemma for the Steelers. and something smells funny. And I took a shower, so it ain't me. We'll explain coming up. All right, Sam Yarnell. Let's talk about the Shedeur Sanders opportunity of a lifetime. I mean, all we heard throughout training camp was Shedeur Sanders isn't going to be a starter. Shedeur Sanders isn't going to get reps. He's not playing with the ones, da-da-da-da-da. And now all of a sudden we turn around and on Friday night, he's going to get the start in the Browns preseason opener. And I said this to Nick Ferguson on the show yesterday, and I'll say it again. I'm rooting for Shedeur Sanders. One, because it will bring absolute chaos into that Cleveland Browns organization that is already just riddled with chaos. Two, I'm rooting for him to succeed because this is a guy that was a consensus number one pick, a year ago or 8 months ago. And then all of a sudden he was a guy that couldn't even get drafted until the 5th round. So I'm rooting for chaos. I love Joe Flacco. I've talked to him a bunch of times over the years, but I want to see Shedeur Sanders go out there and go like 16 of 21 for 180 and 2 scores. I don't know if it's going to happen, Sam, but it's going to be a really interesting scene on Friday night. I think it's the must-watch TV of this NFL preseason.
Let me make something very, very clear. If Shedeur Sanders, preseason, shmee season, if Shedeur Sanders takes meaningful snaps for the Cleveland Browns during the 2025 NFL regular season, it is yet another example of organizational failure in Cleveland, to the point where you have to revolt as a fan base. There's really no other option.
What if he's the best?
Unless we're talking about
a
situation where Dylan Gabriel has gone down with injury. Joe Flacco has gone down with injury. Kenny Pickett is somehow still on the roster and injured. That is and honestly, then at that point, you could probably justify starting Tyler Huntley over Shedeur Sanders at this point. There's more pedigree there. Tyler Huntley has shown you at least that he can be somewhat successful in the NFL. Shedeur Sanders, again, career record of what? 13-12 at a not top college program with top level talent around him, including the kid who's the favorite to win, the top 5 favorite to win both offensive and defensive rookie of the year.
What if he's the best,
Shedeur Sanders
Sam?
thing?
What if he grows in the job and he actually is the best option though? Why not? Look, it's not like we haven't seen guys that get drafted late that, because of injuries and things like that, wind up getting opportunities and wind up shining. Brock Purdy being obviously exhibit A of this as Mr. Irrelevant, who just got a bunch of opportunities because guys got hurt. But what if Sanders winds up getting an opportunity and all of a sudden it just clicks? It does happen. I can't kill the organization for trying to find out in this instance, because they've got a bunch of quarterbacks hurt, what Shedeur Sanders brings to the table. I don't have a problem with it. And maybe on the other side of this, Sam, if he is awful, you tear the Band-Aid off, you find out in week 1 of the preseason. And if he's not good, then you don't have to worry about the questions anymore. You could stick him at the back of the quarterback room and just basically hang out and say, you might get an opportunity, but it ain't going to be here.
And part of me thinks that is Kevin Stefanski's strategy within all of this, is to quiet everybody from talking about it. Because for every Brock Purdy, Jason, which is a fine example to use here, but for every one of them, there are 6 or 7 Jake Fromms, right? Who? Jake Fromm, the guy who led Georgia to multiple national championships and was taken in the 5th or 6th round, and I don't think ever had any regular season experience in the NFL outside of preseason. Like, as much as we can take, dart throws on these late round guys, there are 2 5th through 7th round quarterbacks who you can pick out of the last 25 years who made real meaningful impacts of any sort on their team. And it's Tom Brady and Brock Purdy. If we're going to throw Shedeur Sanders in with those 2 guys, it feels like a bridge too far for me. Again, I never understood the hype behind this guy. He was a guy who was very much like Brock Purdy is in the NFL, profiting off of the talent around him. But luckily, NFL talent evaluators saw that, and it's the reason he went in the 5th round.
I still have questions about the whole process that took place, because the same people that were saying he was going to be the top overall pick all of a sudden changed course and basically decided he was going to be a 5th round pick. So I'm still skeptical as to how the process played out. But I'm telling you, man, that will be one of the most highly anticipated Week 1 preseason NFL games that we've seen in a long time, with Sanders getting an opportunity with the ones. And like I said, I'm rooting for him. I'm actually rooting for him, which is a large switch from where I was on this guy just a year or so ago, Sam. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
It will definitely be the biggest story. You are 100% right about that. I think it will be the biggest story because he will throw 3 interceptions on 12 of 20 passing. You think it will be the biggest story because he'll throw 3 touchdowns on 15 of 16.
No, but the fact of the matter is we don't know. That's what I love about it. We don't know. We don't know what this guy is and how he translates to the NFL. And that's why I'm at least happy he's getting an opportunity to show it. And again, maybe it's Kevin Stefanski playing checkers where we're all playing chess where we're all playing checkers and talking about, oh my God, Shedeur Sanders. And Kevin Stefanski is secretly going, he's going to blow up. And then I could stick him in the back of the quarterback room. We'll see. There's another quarterback I want to talk about, the other end of the spectrum in his career. His name is Aaron Rodgers. To play or not to play? Next. All right, let's take it to segment 5. Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes. Some news from soccer to talk about. What the rest of the world calls football. Sam Yarnell. I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers, and I want to actually talk about something meaningful when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, and that is the decision the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to make in their Week 1 preseason game, taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Aaron Rodgers says, I'm excited to show people sort of where this offense is. However, he doesn't think that Mike Tomlin will ask him to play, but he says if he does, he's willing to play in that Week 1 preseason game. Sam Yarnell, if you are the Steelers, I have my own opinion. I want to hear what yours is. If you are the Steelers, do you play Aaron Rodgers in Week 1 of the preseason?
Well, in a word, no, but let me elaborate a little bit more because, again, and I feel like I've made this point very clear. It's my own personal belief, but I've said it on the show countless times over the last, I don't know, however many months since Aaron Rodgers came out and said he was going to officially be a Steeler, and also he was married. No, Jason, I would not start Aaron Rodgers in Week 1 of the preseason, nor would I start him in Week 2 of the preseason, nor would I actually start him in Week 3 of the preseason. Come to think of it, I wouldn't even start him in Week 1. Why? Because Aaron Rodgers should not be a quarterback in the National Football League anymore. The Pittsburgh Steelers should be giving these reps to somebody else. They could have used draft capital on somebody who could actually make the outlook for their franchise somewhat positive, but instead they're going to choose to roll out the 2018 Pro Bowl team and hope that that works in the year of our Lord 2025. So no, the Pittsburgh Steelers shouldn't start Aaron Rodgers in Week 1 of the preseason. They shouldn't start him in Week 1 of the regular season. They shouldn't start him in Week 8 of the regular season. The Pittsburgh Steelers are essentially kissing their season goodbye by starting Aaron Rodgers in any of their regular season games this year.
All right. That being said, he's going to play for them this season, barring something unforeseen. He's going to play for them this season. And the question is whether or not it is wise to take a 41-year-old quarterback with a history of injuries who has not started a preseason game, who hasn't started a preseason game in 2 years, and put him out on the field against a hungry group of, Jacksonville Jaguars that are out to prove they're not hot garbage. I mean, truth. So to me, the answer is simple. It's no, not for the reasons you stated to our friends watching in Sportsnet Pittsburgh, not for the reasons you mentioned, but because it just doesn't make sense. The risk is not worth the reward. Maybe you play him in, the second to last preseason game or something like that for a couple of quarters at most, because I do think he should get some time on the field. But I can't see. I mean, your entire season hinges. Remember, this is a team with Skylar Thompson, Mason Rudolph, and Will Howard. I'd rather see Ron Howard on the field than Will Howard right now. You cannot risk your entire season. Frankly, Mike Tomlin's job may rely on Aaron Rodgers being on the field in week one.
Don't be silly. We've seen that franchise go through everything with him.
I think when they blow it up, I will tell you something. It's true. I will tell you something. If it goes bad this season and it's one and done for Rodgers and they decide to blow this thing up, I don't think Tomlin's a part of what comes next. I do not believe Mike Tomlin will be a part of that. And I don't even think he'll want to be a part of it. The Aaron Rodgers experience is going to be so damn exhausting. They're saying all the right things right now, and it's all kumbaya, and everybody loves each other, and Coach Mike, and blah, 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 and Coach T. Let me tell you something. If this thing goes bad, Mike Tomlin will gladly take a year off and then go find somewhere else to coach, for the rest of his career. I'm just saying.
I don't disagree with you. It is just hard for me to fathom because, gosh, this is a daunting thing to say. My entire football lifetime, Mike Tomlin has been the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And there is an entire generation of Steelers fans, hopefully watching this show right now, who are in that same boat.
They stopped watching. They stopped watching after you went after Aaron Rodgers in that 2-minute rant. So they're not here anymore. We don't need to worry about that.
Where would they even go? Where would Mike Tomlin even go? Because obviously,
take a year off.
Take a year off. Right, but then after that, he takes a year off and then what? Becomes the Falcons head? It'd just be weird seeing Mike Tomlin on a different NFL sideline. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers, they don't even know how to do a coaching search. The last time they did a coaching search, I don't think the internet existed.
Sam, why do NFL players want smelling salts so bad? Because this whole George Kittle story is kind of blown up, and the NFL's like, no. Players can have their own. You just can't get them from the team. You can bring your own. Feel free.
Right.
It's BYOSS.
BYOS. Bring your own salt, as they say. Listen, I'm not going to sit up here and act like I have extensive history of using smelling salts, but when I played football back in my day, they made their appearance every once in a while on the team bus or on the sideline or whatever it may be. I get why players want to use them. It is a great way to try and get yourself fired up before you have to go run into a 300-pound human being. Can't fault them at all for that. If there was some extensive research that the NFL has as to it's hurting your brain and they want to put that out and try to dissuade people from using them, I'm all ears. But until then, I'm all for the BYOS, Jason. Bring your own. Let's have a smelling salt party on the sideline.
Let's not and say we did, but okay. I've never had them before. Nobody had them at the ready when I suffered my 3 different concussions in my life. So, all right, we got odds and ends to get to, some soccer to talk about, football as the rest of the world calls it. This Thursday edition of SportsWrap rolls on. All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Thursday. Tomorrow on the show, Robert Littal in his normal spot. He filled in for Sam yesterday. Tino Patino will be here as well. We got a race at Watkins Glen to preview for NASCAR. Never know what kind of surprises we'll have on a Friday edition of Sports Wrap, so you'll want to tune in. All right, a couple of reminders. Sports Wrap with Jason Page, the podcast version of the show. In its audio form, it's wonderful. You can listen to it in the car, planes, trains, while you're on the treadmill, while you're taking a shower, lying in bed, wherever you like to, while you're sitting at work and the boss is yammering on. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, go and subscribe. It's on all your favorite podcasting platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, you name it. We're on all of them. In addition to being on almost 300 affiliates around the U.S. and Canada, this show can also be viewed on Spotify. Watch the show there Monday through Friday. It's available early in the afternoon. You can also You can also watch the show on our SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, which is available over on YouTube. Shocker. Go and check that out. SportsWrap shorts are available there as well. Clips from the show, sometimes clips not from the show, because interviews run long, conversations run long when we're putting the show together, and sometimes they will wind up in our YouTube channel. And without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. Arch Manning in the news, or maybe his father. Or what is it, grandfather in the news, right? It's grandfather in the news, right? Yeah. Because Arch Manning's grandfather, is discussing the idea of Arch Manning being available for the NFL draft next year, which a lot of people had him as, sort of the consensus top pick already, if you looked at the betting odds. But apparently that may not be the case, Sam.
Yeah, very interesting story coming out of Texas on a random Thursday morning in the middle of August, Jason. But Archie Manning saying this morning with regard to the 2026 draft via Texas Monthly, quote, Arch isn't going to do that. He'll be at Texas. Again, concerning the 2026 NFL draft. So,
do you believe it?
Weird. Do I believe it is a very, very interesting question. And I don't think I can answer it until week 15 of the NFL season, week 16 of the NFL season, when you get a really clear and obvious picture of who is going to have that number one pick. And I think if it's, the Saints looking at a 2-16 or a 2-15 record going into week 18, I think that there's a realistic chance that he walks back these statements. But then again, it does feel like it's something that you and I have talked about for a very long time, Jason, which is Arch Manning is very much going to use his eligibility to end up playing for the NFL team that he wants to, not wherever he ends up in terms of draft eligibility and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So again, if the Saints have the number one pick this year, I think he'll probably end up in the draft. If they don't, I think he'll probably end up at Texas next year.
Manning is plus 850 to be the number one overall pick. 4 guys ahead of him: Drew Aller, Lenora Sellers, Cade Klubnik, and Garrett Nussmeier. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. We saw this a few years ago when Lionel Messi came to MLS, and there was all this conversation about what it means for MLS, and wow, this is great. Heung-min Son, got it right first time. Heung-min Son is leaving Tottenham Hotspur. He's spurning the world of the Premier League to come over to MLS to play for LAFC. Now, here's my thought on this real quick. Much like, Messi, there's the splash, there's the news, there's the headlines on ESPN, and it's great in the moment. I gotta be honest, I was excited about the Messi move to Miami, but after the first month of it, or first season of it, I didn't really care anymore. And look, I get that MLS, much like the NHL, is a very regional sport. The fan bases are rabid, people go to the games, it's great. But I just don't know how much this moves the needle for me.
Yeah, so Major League Soccer is at a very interesting juncture because Heung-min Son isn't the only international superstar who's coming to MLS during this transfer window. Thomas Müller also coming to Vancouver Whitecaps during this transfer window, the German superstar who played for FC Bayern Munich for forever. MLS, and this is something that's been prevalent in their business model since its inception. Go back to the David Beckham move away from the Premier League in England, coming over to the LA Galaxy to play with Landon Donovan at the time. So I don't know, man. Is it a successful business model? I think there's an argument to be made that it is. Look at the expansion we've seen of MLS over the last decade. They continue to draw this talent, and now it's seemingly coming more frequently, right? So I'm not gonna bash him for it. It seems like it's something they've done for a long time. They're standing for teams to do it, and it brings them some level of success. So I like the move, and it's good to see the international eyes coming on to a young and still developing league in Major League Soccer.
It is a young league, and we do need to remember that when all is said and done. And it has rapidly expanded. I mean, are people watching these games on Apple TV? Is anybody watching them? I have no idea. I don't know how long the media deal is, when those rights come up, what's the next deal going to look like. I have no idea. I just know that every time I look at a soccer stadium with MLS in it, that's packed. People are watching. So they're doing well at the gate. I don't know if anybody's watching. I don't know if Young Min's son makes them watch more or less. Does it for us. Thanks to David Aardsma. Thanks to you, Sam. We'll see you all back here tomorrow.